Welcome to the special edition of Hannity Tonight. For the entire hour, we will investigate Eric Holder's Department of Injustice and focus on his many failures since assuming the role of America's top law enforcement officer. Now, 4.5 years ago, Holder was nominated to be the Attorney General and then went before the U.S. Senate for his confirmation hearing. Now, here is what he said he would do if, in fact, he was confirmed.
I will work to restore the credibility of a department badly shaken by allegations of improper political interference. Law enforcement decisions and personnel actions must be untainted by partisanship.
Well, he seems to have failed miserably in that goal, with scandal after scandal marring his tenure as Attorney General, so much so that he was actually held in contempt of Congress. Now, over the years, probably no person has held Eric Holder's feet to the fire like the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Issa, and it seems as though the congressman has been getting under our embattled Attorney General's skin. Take a look at this exchange about subpoenaed emails.
Will you make them available to the committee based on our bipartisan request?
I will certainly look at the request. It's not something that I've personally been involved in, but I'll look at the request and try to be as responsive as we can. I'm sure there must have been a good reason why only the to and from parts were provided.
Yes, you didn't want us to see the details. Mr. Attorney General, knowing the to and from,
typically do.
knowing the to
I'm
and
not going to stop talking now. You characterize something as something close to
Mr. Chairman, would you inform the witness as to the rules of this committee?
That is inappropriate and is too consistent with the way in which you conduct yourself as a member of Congress. It's unacceptable and it's shameful.
The gentleman has the time, and the gentleman may ask the questions that he deems appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And joining me now with reaction are Congressman Issa and Congressman Jason Chaffetz are with us. Nice, Congressman Issa, I see you smiling. I guess it would be something to smile about if it wasn't too serious. When you look at his tenure, how would you describe it?
Well, it's been a failure, and sadly, the clip you played about his Senate confirmation says a great deal. He's even said before committee that he wears two hats. Obviously, one of them political and the other chief law enforcement, and that really makes it unacceptable. And sadly, he, as you could see in that exchange, he's very good at using a lot of words to say nothing when, in fact, the question is pretty straightforward. Will you respond to a subpoena by delivering the documents that my ranking member, Elijah Cummings, and I both insisted on? Even when it's bipartisan, we can't seem to get through to him that there's a role for Congress and an obligation, and we're just trying to fulfill it.
Well, I have one question. There seem to be two instances now where the Attorney General did not tell the truth while going before Congress. One is on Fast and Furious. The other involved knowledge about James Rosen. Did he lie under oath, in your view?
Well, he was under oath. What he said was not correct. In the case of the latter, he's now, quote, corrected the record. That's not acceptable to me. Certainly, he knew and said things that he shouldn't have said. But it's part of a pattern. The pattern includes sending his representatives to tell us in the case of Fast and Furious that, quote, they never let guns walk, when people under his control knew they absolutely did.
So you're saying that the lies are broader. Congressman Chaffetz, good to see you again. If I went before a committee under oath as just an average citizen, and I lied, what would happen to me?
You better go to jail. But in this administration, they don't hold people to the same degree of accountability. Look at what happened in Fast and Furious. Part of the explosion here was the fact that under Department of Justice letterhead, they totally misled and lied to Congress. And the Attorney General can't just hide under his lieutenants. That is just unprecedented. And to not have it followed through, I'm proud of Issa, the Speaker Boehner, and others. The fact that we actually held the Attorney General in contempt of Congress. Fast and Furious has not gone away. We have not gotten to the bottom of it. And but for Issa and some others, we would still be left to believe that by this Attorney General that, hey, nothing, no problems here. But come on, we have a death of an agent.
Let me ask you about that, because when he was asked specifically when he learned about Fast and Furious, he said, oh, only within the last few weeks. And then didn't you discover documents that contradicted that term, that statement, that he had known about it as early as 10 months prior? Is that true?
No, Yeah, he had absolutely known about it earlier. He claims to know nothing about it. He never told the president about it, but then had to walk all that back because he actually did know about it. And what's also scary is if you willingly and knowingly, as a federal government, give the drug cartels nearly 2,000 weapons, mostly AK-47s, and your attorney general says, well, I knew nothing about it. I mean, that's the pattern here. They claim ignorance. They claim they don't know anything about it. But this is some major operation happening. You can't have it both ways. And I think he certainly misled Congress.
Then, Congressman Issa, with all of this, and you're saying that anybody watching this program right now, if they lied before Congress, there would be severe consequences. Yes, you held them in contempt. Why have there not been more severe consequences?
Well, first of all, one of our problems is when you want to send for criminal referral, you send it to him. As you saw in contempt, he ordered or allowed his U.S. attorney, a political appointee, not to act on contempt. And when we actually went civilly in, when the House of Representatives went civilly in, his position, the position of this administration is that the third branch of government, the federal courts, do not have the ability to decide who's right and wrong on withholding documents. And that's where the case is right now. We're trying to get it decided and get it back to us, because ultimately, if the courts cannot make him do it and the House cannot make him do it, then much of what we think of as our democracy or our republic has been lost.
Do we need more outside counsels, Congressman Chaffetz? And there's been so many scandals of late. Which ones would you think that we need some?
Specifically, I think in the Associated Press and the James Rosen case, I think there's a degree of objectivity that needs to get into the bowels of what's really going on in the administration and the Department of Justice. It's very difficult to peel those back, but that's probably right at the top of my list in terms of the need for some outside counsel.
Congressman Issa?
Well, I'm much more a believer that Congress should do its job. Chairman Goodlatte is on top of the Rosen situation, and he's a very active chairman. Jason and I both serve on that committee. The real question is, will Congress, will Republicans leading the House of Representatives, will we do our job? And candidly, will the Senate begin doing its job? I would prefer to see that. If we can't do it, if we continue being stymied, then I'm sure that the Speaker and others would make a decision to bring in reinforcements. But I think the big question the American people are asking is, will we hold this administration accountable? Will we put honesty and accountability ahead of the convenient agenda of the president? You know, today, and every day, it seems, he has a series of fundraisers when, in fact, he seems to be too busy to actually work with us on legislation or on transparency.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, thanks so much. We're going to continue to follow it and appreciate both of you being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.